Welcome to this edition of Agile and DevOps Tidbits. Today's subject is Innovators, Followers, Laggards, Understanding Denialism. When we're attempting to implement Agile or DevOps, we generally are going to put employees into three categories, and these employees are across any level. We're going to have what we term our innovators, our followers, and our laggards. Our innovators are generally a smaller group who are leading the charge for Agile and DevOps. The vast majority of the organization will be what we call our followers, and then we'll have a small part group, what we generally term as our laggards. And generally, our followers will go with whoever they feel is winning the battle with Agile and DevOps. What we have to understand about this is, as with anything new, some people will be uncomfortable, and how they react depends on many things. But there's a strong chance that you will have some individuals who decide that they are against what you are doing with Agile and DevOps. The whys and wherefores can be examined and analyzed to the nth degree, but there is something very important for you to realize. If one or two individuals are loud enough, they can redirect your attention from your vision and goals with Agile and DevOps. This is exactly why you don't want this to happen. So when we look at this laggard category, there are some groups that they generally fit into, why they, in some cases, will be against it. The main one we want to talk about today is hero cult, because we generally see hero cult in almost every single organization we go see. And generally understand with the hero cult, in that type of organization, the team is basically nothing. They're not as important. The individuals are king. And an example of a hero cult would be, for example, say a programmer who fails to document his or her work adequately and delivers really low software quality. The bad software requires new adjustments and bug fixes, as we generally find in Agile, that can only be performed by this hero cult creator because he or she did not document or share his or her knowledge, decisions, and project experience with the team. So the organization views this person as this hero because they're always saving us, but the reality is they're causing the problem. It's very important for organizations, and many times this person will be hero cult is very valued and looked upon well by the organization, but they're actually causing most of our problems. One of the problems we see, and research very much shows, is the problem of supporting innovators. What we find is research shows is most organizations don't value their innovators. It's sad, but it's true. The innovator individuals are often not on an organization's high potential list. To most people, it would seem obvious that these change innovators would be seen by the organization as superstars and placed on management's high potential list. The reality is they are not. What we find is that the individuals on the high potential list are seen as good at organizing and directing groups of people. The innovators, on the other hand, tend to be more independent, quick to act, and often bring about change not initially sanctioned by their managers. Research has also shown that these change innovators are generally respected, but the respect was very guarded. This really points to an issue inside many organizations in terms of trying to grow their grassroots effort and understand growing the grassroots effort through in Agile DevOps is very important. The reason for these change innovators not being viewed as having high potential ties directly in with the cause of so many Agile and DevOps failures, and that is the organizational culture. The problem with their organizational culture is that the formal performance evaluations planning systems are geared to rate the traits of these change innovators less favorably than those who are seen as being good at organizing and directing. The research clearly shows that the change innovators tend to be adaptable, logical, and incremental in their approach, and we're not concerned with power and resources, but with solving problems and producing results. In other words, they are problem-focused and not promotion-focused. One of the things to overcome these laggards and to keep up the momentum of Agile and DevOps is we really sort of need to understand sort of the science of how denialism plays a role in this. And understand denialism is very, very real. When we take a close look at the laggards, we need to look closely at denialism. The truth is that the evidence is overwhelming for Agile and DevOps. Much like today's current debate about global warming, there are enough individuals who display what is termed denialism to thwart efforts in most organizations. First, we need to understand that what denialism is. It is part of the psychology of human behavior where a person chooses to deny reality as a way to avoid psychologically uncomfortable truths such as Agile and DevOps and the changes it brings. We need to understand that denialism is essentially an irrational action that withholds validation of a process, methodology, or concept by the person refusing to accept an empirically, verifiable reality. So what causes this denialism in some individuals? Denialism is caused by the tendency towards what we term motivated reasoning. In some individuals and groups, this motivated reasoning helps explain why some individuals and groups become so polarized over new concepts such as Agile and DevOps, even when the evidence is unequivocal about their benefit. It would seem that expecting these people to be convinced by the facts, well, flies in the face of, the facts. The theory of motivated reasoning builds on a key insight of modern neuroscience, where reasoning is actually suffused with emotion, or what a researcher will call affect. Not only are these two inseparable, but our positive or negative feelings about change through initiatives like Agile and DevOps arise much more rapidly than our conscious thoughts. In a matter of milliseconds, motivated reasoning is a basic human survival instinct. And what we do is we push threatening information away, such as Agile or DevOps, and pull friendly information close. In other words, we apply traditional fight or flight reflexes that are normally associated with predators and instead apply it to data itself. So how do we overcome denialism? Overcoming denialism and laggards is rooted, and we need to look at the science of organizational behavior. And we need to really understand the laggards will play politics. So how do we overcome this? We use organizational behavior techniques. The first one is set examples. It's critical that management recognizes the role negative politics plays inside many organizations and works to set examples that discourage these political games. Management must set out to make it very clear that they will not tolerate deceit or dirty tricks, and most importantly, they themselves must refuse to engage in politics. If management makes it clear that political tactics are unacceptable, they will find that their subordinates will be discouraged from engaging in negative politics as well. The next one is communicate openly. DevOps teams must share all relevant information with coworkers and the organization as a whole in order to alleviate destructive politics. Open communications helps ensure that everyone understands and accepts the vision and plan moving forward. One of the surest ways to sync a DevOps movement inside an organization is to employ what we term a skunk works project. The next one is reduced uncertainty. When the DevOps leaders clarify their goals, tasks, and responsibilities, they make it easier for all to assess people's behavior and make politics hard to hide. Open up the decision-making process helps make the decisions understandable and discourages undercover politicking. Next one is manage informal coalitions and cliques, and this is what we see in many organizations. What we find in these organizations is a number of informal coalitions and cliques who have the ability to quickly derail the Agile and DevOps movement. It's important to not only identify these coalition cliques, the DevOps leaders must also influence the norms and beliefs that steer group behavior in order to ensure that these employees continue to serve the organization's best interest. In some cases, management may have to reassign some of these individuals in order to abolish the group politicking. Next one is confront political game players. The DevOps leaders may find that even after all these things they've gone through with the organization, the initial attempts to discourage negative politics with certain individuals inside the organization, they may need to call upon an individual superior in order to curb that individual's political pursuits. In some cases, it may even become necessary to take disciplinary measures to curb these individuals' political aspirations and even sometimes outright dismissal. And the DevOps teams and leaders in Agile, they need to anticipate the emergence of negative politics. DevOps and Agile leaders must be keenly aware from the start of any circumstances that are conducted to politicking. Well, that'll wrap it up for this edition of Agile and DevOps Tidbits. As always, you can find out more information on Agile Testing Framework or contact us at tor.com. Thank you.